Hi everybody, welcome to the Pro Show. Today we're going to talk about 3 steps to becoming vegan in 2021. So a lot of people are talking about what their New Year's resolution are going to be after we finish the worst year of all time and we go into what we all hope is a slightly better year. So what can be better than getting healthier and happier with a new diet and eating healthier vegetables and maybe transitioning towards a more plant-based option. So I wanted to give everybody my thoughts on what the 3 first steps you can do to transition to a vegan diet in 2021. The first step I'd say is cutting out one meat at a time. So when I was becoming vegan, my steps were to first cut out beef. I didn't eat beef very often anyway, and so that was kind of an easy thing to do. I just stopped eating hamburgers and steak and those kind of things. I never really ate pork either, so that was pretty easy for me to cut out the red meats. So I would occasionally eat hamburgers, but that was an easier thing to do, was to cut out beef. That was something that I knew that I wouldn't miss so much. What was a little bit harder was chicken, so I kind of started to cut that down. I had some leftover chicken. Now looking back, I wish I would have just stopped eating it, but you get in that habit, and so it's just kind of in your brain. So I was kind of slowly transitioning, eating the leftover stuff, and then getting that out. If you can, stop right away, if you have that willpower, or you lose interest, like if you think it's gross, like I kind of started to think, I don't really need this anymore. It doesn't even taste that good. Then I'd encourage you, go as fast as you can. But also, if it's becoming overwhelming, you don't want to push yourself to the point where you quit. And I think that's where a lot of folks, they go all in and then they go all out, which I think is the wrong approach. So my approach was to cut out one meat at a time, and that worked for me because by the end, the last thing I cut out was fish, which I also didn't eat very much. I occasionally ate some fish. But when you're vegetarian by that point, a lot of folks are like, oh, you can eat fish, right? And then, so I would eat it, but then I lost interest in that too. So I just became more firm. And the more that you do it, the more firm you get, and the more it's your habit. And so it's just easier to form that habit. So start forming that habit one at a time. And really stick with that, habit once you've made it. So if you say no beef, then no beef, and then expand from there. The second step that I'd say is finding meat alternatives. So one of the, I think, most interesting parts of becoming vegan is I really actually found a lot more foods. Everybody thinks that when you become vegan, you eat just grass. That's the joke, that I'm eating bushes and leaves, but in reality I eat way more interesting things now because I'm not just slopping like the same 2 meats on my plate every single meal. I'm actually exploring a lot of different alternatives. So if you're looking at name brands for really that texture and feel of meat, then you can look at, one of my favorites was Gardein and Quorn, which are 2 maybe less expensive brands that I think really do taste good, especially the Gardein crumbles that I put in spaghetti. That is just so delicious. So I think you can explore those if you're looking for some affordable, like frozen options. And then you can also look at, of course, Beyond is very famous. Everybody knows that one. And Impossible. I was eating way too many Impossible burgers when I was back in the United States. I ate maybe 2 a day. So don't do that. It's actually not good for you compared to eating just like vegetables. So don't do that. You will get an upset stomach, as I did, and you will also not be healthy if you're eating Impossible burgers every day. But of course you can put those in. I think Gardein and Quorn have a lot of good ingredients. They're high in protein, high in other vitamins. So Those are the more expensive brands though, and if you want to just have more generic type of proteins, you can look at tempeh, seitan, a seitan, not Satan. Don't join Satan. And of course, tofu. I never ate tofu before I was vegan. And now I literally eat, I'm probably 80% tofu at this point. Like my body weight is just tofu. So maybe I should diversify a little bit. It's the easiest thing to get here where I live in Taiwan. But I really love every form of tofu, and it's so tasty here. The fried tofu, and they have like tough tofu and tofu skin. And that sounds weird, but trust me, it's the most delicious thing you'll ever have. So I would encourage you to explore different ways to cook and season tofu. The problem with tofu is that it gets a bad rap because people don't really do anything with it. They don't treat it like they do meat, and that's the problem. Is they're putting all these like flavorings and sauces on meat, and they're really, frying all this and that. And then the vegetarian option, a lot of cooks, they just kind of throw the soy in there, and then it's really bland and boring. Yes, that's bland and boring. They're doing it wrong. So explore different ways to cook that, or go to actual vegan restaurants who know how to handle soy. Trust me, tofu is delicious. The third and final step is B12. Okay, so there's a few different vitamins and minerals that vegans might have a harder time to get, although that's a little bit of a myth. But nonetheless, B12 is one of the vitamins that you probably should watch out for. And the reason is that typically nowadays, a lot of Americans, they get their B12 from meat. And the reason is because they feed the animals B12. So you're getting that supplement because the animals are absorbing the supplement themselves, and you're just eating the animals. So we could just eat the supplement, which is what I do. I have a Deva multivitamin B12. I also have a B12 just straight up. But you can also get this from vegan milk alternatives. And trust me, you will not miss cow-based milk once you explore the amazing varieties of plant milk. I just had no idea. It's crazy how much more satisfied I am with my diet now because I'm just exploring all these cool things. Like hemp milk, who thought that was a thing? That's weird, but it's really good. It's just really nutritious. And usually they'll add B12 into it. So at the very least, you want to make sure that I'd say your plant-based milk has B12 in it, but I'd probably just take the supplement anyway. You look at the Deva multivitamin vegan supplements, they're pretty good. And then add on to that, you can probably fill in any voids with a plant-based milk. I recommend Ripple. It's a pea-based milk. I know if you're not vegan, this sounds really weird and gross. I would have thought that's really gross. That's why they don't call it pea milk. They call it Ripple. But it's a pea-based protein, so they're pulling out the protein. And they're also adding omega 3s to it as well. And they also have B12 in there. The chocolate variety is just, when I go back to the United States, I just devour Ripple. So I'd highly recommend you try that out if you have not. So those are my 3 steps. I hope that's helpful. I know a lot of folks are looking for their 2021 resolutions. They want to start off the year with something positive, and I think this is a really good way to feel good about yourself, feel good going into the new year, and really make a difference. So if this was at all helpful, let me know in the comments, and also let me know if there's any other lists that I should make about transitioning to veganism. Thanks for watching.